back here by Shot YouTube channel. I know it looks super extra wearing this fur, but please bear with me because it's cold in my apartment and I run hot like an old Chevy, so I really refuse to open my radiators. So I would rather it be a little bit cool and I just have to like wear a blanket or a thick robe than to actually like turn on heat, because then I just get way too hot and I start sweating and I'm wearing makeup and I'm not about to sweat my face off. Like, products cost too much to be wasting like that. So I can't record for you guys from my bed where I have been all day wrapped under a cozy blanket. So y'all are just gonna get this extra ostrich feather coat and it's fine. This is a safe space, or at least it's a safe space for me. I hope y'all feel safe as well. In this video, I am recapping episode 3 of Insecure season 4. I can't believe it's been 4 seasons. This episode centers around Thanksgiving, which I think I actually really enjoy Thanksgiving episodes of things because you get so much insight into the family dynamics that some people have. So the episode starts off with Condola and Lawrence waking up together. I'm assuming at Lawrence's place, and the awkwardness. Lawrence basically invites himself to Condola's Friendsgiving, and I was just like, Lawrence, you're not picking up on the social cues here, which we typically don't. When we really like a person, we hear what we want to hear. She clearly didn't invite him, and he kind of put her in a bit of an awkward situation, because if you ask me if you can come to a dinner at my house and I say no, awkward. So that was very cringe to watch. We learned that Lawrence is really trying to kind of step his game up, because I think, you know, Condola has this super together life. She works at this important firm and, you know, has this like adult house, and she's doing so well for herself that he feels compelled to step his game up, which I don't think is a bad thing. But it's also kind of like, well, Issa was arguably doing better than you at a point too. Why didn't you feel compelled to step your game up for her? Things to consider, things that make you go, So, I think next we see Molly and Issa at the grocery store. Yeah, this is one of the most difficult things to watch in my entire life. I have really, really bad secondhand embarrassment. Like, I've never really been able to watch Soul Train all the way, not Soul Train, Apollo all the way through, because I really can't stand to see people embarrass themselves, and it's just like a constant test of whether or not I can overcome my secondhand embarrassment watching Issa do literally anything. So to see the argument, like shade, like swords drawn between Molly and Issa, it was really hard to watch. And they both, I think that they are kind of gaslighting each other because they're both judging each other's present choices based on their past decisions. And so I really hated that Issa planted this seed of insecurity in Molly's head about scaring Andrew off. I think a lot of times women tend to do that to each other. I don't know if guys do that because I'm not a guy. But I think women tend to do that a lot. Like, we tend to, whether it's intentional or not, make our friends insecure about not scaring a dude off by like not saying what we want or going after the things that we want in the relationship. And I think that's really unfair, and it's really messed up on Issa's part to, oh, you gonna scare him off like you did, you know, because I've had friends gaslight me in that way before, where it's like I feel this certain way and then my feelings are made to be invalid because it's like, well, you know, you do tend to whatever, and it's like, but why can't you just hold space for me right now? So, you know, Molly clapped back at her about TSA Bay, and it was just this awful back and forth of them just saying these hurtful, awful things to each other. But at least they got to a place where it was like, hold up, like, why are we doing this? And I really wish, once again, that they had just addressed the situation like in the moment, but they decided to like put the conversation off about like what's been going on with them, and I just wanted so badly for them to just hash it out right there at the Whole Foods. But that didn't happen. So because that didn't happen, we kind of see this divide grow and grow and grow throughout the entire episode, and you really kind of see these little hints or these little clues about like what happens in friendships, in relationships, when you don't just address things that are actually bothering you. Which, fast forward to Condola's Friendsgiving, Lawrence showed up, and I feel like he was trying so hard. He came, with liquor. He came in his best shirt, bitch. Okay, sure, he looked a little bit like the lost member of the Migos, but I did not mind Lawrence's shirt. It just wasn't the place for it. And Condola, I was not feeling Condola this episode. She just was not she was kind of passive aggressive, like, oh, well, you dressed up, and it's just like, what the fuck are you wearing? Her outfit looks like pajamas. Anyway, and a few people on Twitter were saying they were not feeling Condola, and I was like, I wonder why they're not feeling her, because I know why I'm not feeling her. But anyway, I think Lawrence was trying really hard with Condola's friends, who were just a little bit kind of like snooty. They didn't feel very like warm, and he was trying his best to be charming. The whole thing about like fixing the sink, I really loved the insert of the faux YouTube video of like how to lay pipe like a player. I really want to see more how-tos from like Black dudes, because like Jim Jones did one this week like in real life about like creating like a bench press system like using bands, and I just thought it was so cute. But anyway, at the end of the Friendsgiving, Robin Thede drunk ass character basically kind of spilled the tea to Lawrence that he's kind of just a fun time for Condola, and as they're cleaning up after everyone leaves, he tells her like, yeah, your friend kind of, hinted or, said some stuff, and they engage in this conversation where I don't think they were being fair to each other, and had y'all just had this conversation from jump, maybe things would be a little bit better. But just both kind of expressing insecurities about their exes. And Lawrence asks like, are you over your ex-husband? She never really says no. She says like the relationship is over, whatever, but you really get the hint this episode that Condola's just not as into Lawrence as he is into her. And a part of me kind of likes that, because after the way he treated the bank teller girl, I'm sorry, but it is nice to see a dude kind of get their comeuppance, where it's like, oh, you get to be on the other side of things, where you're really feeling a person who just isn't feeling you like that because they have some other shit going on. Part of me really liked seeing that, but it was also really hard too, because Condola's question was, if Issa hadn't cheated on you, would you still be together? That's kind of not fair, because who knows, something else could have broken them up, and is that even a road that you want to go down? I think hypotheticals are a really rough place to go in a relationship, especially a new one. So I really didn't like them confronting each other about past relationships when, let's just talk about like what we're doing. And we don't really get a resolution to that conversation. We don't see the end of that conversation play out. And I thought it was a really cool scene too, the way that they were on like opposite sides of the kitchen, and you really saw a divide in their relationship, where it looks like they've gotten to a crossroads. And to be fair, for Condola, you just got divorced a year and a half ago. You don't know that you really want to get married again. I think that those are valid feelings, but I think there was a better way to express them. And Condola has been like, my communications, like, aspirations, but this episode, I don't know. This episode, I was really happy to see Issa and her brother be like siblings, because in past episodes, past seasons, he's really seemed to kind of be over Issa, and I really hate that, because my brother, for me, is such a safe space, and I really hate seeing siblings not actually show up for each other emotionally. So I was really happy to see them connecting about their parents' divorce and how they mutually don't give a fuck about their mom's new boyfriend. And they end up not having dinner because they don't want to be bothered with the boyfriend's family. And I can fully understand that, like, especially if my mama not there, why do we need to do this? Like, I'd rather not. But the dinner they ended up having at the Mexican restaurant, where Issa finally opened up about having seen Condola and Lawrence, and like it really kind of made her feel away. She kind of had like the ring the alarm, #Beyonce moment where it's like, I feel like I put in the work of dealing with this guy who had potential and she's reaping the benefits. I don't know if that's a fair assessment, because someone tweeted, how do we know that him leaving Issa wasn't the catalyst for him getting himself together? Maybe he never would have done that had he stuck around with her. And that's a fair point. So who knows? But I was really happy that her brother affirmed her in that way, and affirmed her by saying, like, listen, how you feel is okay. And I think we all just kind of need that when we're having a vulnerable moment. We need for, if you can't do it for yourself, you need for someone to be able to step in and say how you feel is valid and I support you. So I was really happy to see that connection between the two of them, and even more happy when he was like, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do, when they were like ending their night together. And that prompted Issa to be like, shit, I really don't want to go and have pie with Molly. And she sends her this text like, hey, can we postpone? And once again, Molly trying to play it cool, just like, yep, no problem. Call things out in the moment. If that was hurtful to you, say that that was hurtful to you. And I know that that takes practice, and it's not always easy, especially when a person has been kind of treating you like your feelings don't matter or aren't valid. It's hard to be like, I would rather that we just have this conversation, but this divide between the two of them, like, they can't really be that open with each other right now as much as they may want to. So that was like disappointing, but I also kind of get it. The other thing too about, Molly has been feeling this way about her dad after she learned that her dad had cheated on her mom, and has been giving him a really hard time. And something that I realized about Molly too, she tends to try to be like the morality police for people in her life, as if her hands are completely clean. It's like, how could you, to her dad, when you were sleeping with a married man yourself? So why are you giving your dad like such this hard time? And her brother called her out like, dads are niggas too. And I really appreciate him saying that, because one of the best things that you can do as an adult is come to a place of understanding that your parents are human before they're your parents. I think we put a huge amount of pressure on parents to be these perfect beings just by virtue of them being our caregivers for so long in our lives. But one of the greatest things that can happen in a parent-child relationship is both parties accepting, other than their connection to me, they are a human person. They are allowed to be flawed. They are allowed to be different. And it looks like Molly, kind of had like an aha moment, with that, and sat down beside her dad on the couch to play Taboo, which I have sworn off of playing Taboo. I get way too competitive. Like, I'm not even a competitive person. I've always just kind of been like, if they're better at it than me, then like, fine, whatever. Like, I just never try too hard until it comes to Taboo, because I know I'm good at it, and I just get way too amped up. So I've just sworn off of playing it in public, or period, because how could you not play it in public? But anyway, so I was really happy to see Molly kind of come to a good place or it looks like she's at the beginning of coming to a good place with her relationship with her dad. And then the episode ends with Lawrence sitting on his couch, going through everyone's stories throughout the day. And because we all do that, on holidays when we're not close to our friends or the people who we would otherwise be spending time with, you kind of check in to see what everybody else's holiday is like. And you can see this level of comfort that he has with Issa. We saw it a little bit in the interaction that they had, where they ran into each other at the restaurant. They have a camaraderie, they have a level of intimacy, because they know each other, they were together for so long. And a part of me, I don't get that. I've never had a connection with an ex like that. As far as I'm concerned, I don't really have no exes. I don't know those people. Like, I'm kind of, when I'm done, it may take a while for me to be done, but when I'm done, I'm really done. And I don't really look at them and what they have going on and have any residual feelings. I'm just like, best of luck to you, girl. I don't have anyone who I look at and think like, oh, she's reaping the benefit. No, I'm like done. So I don't know anything about that from personal experience, but you can just see that Lawrence kind of he want that old thing back. And I kind of understand that it's easier just to lean on what you already know than to explore something new in a world of unknown. There's so many uncertainties with Condola. Does she want to be married? Does she really even like this man? Like, is he just a fuck buddy for her? Like, what's the tea? Whereas with Issa, there's just so much history and there's so much that you don't have to go back over and explain. And when you think about it, Issa is probably the least awkward with Lawrence. So I don't know. A part of me kind of wants them to get back together. A part of me wants them both to move on to other people. Not necessarily to Condola, definitely not to TSA Bay, but I don't know. It could just be maybe sometimes people need time apart in order to realize that they could be good together. So we'll see. I feel like they're kind of laying the groundwork to show that there may be some backsliding between Issa and Lawrence. I feel like that would be really predictable, but we'll see what happens. All in all, I really enjoyed this episode. I think we got a lot of different layers and a lot of insight into each person's kind of individual lives. And once again, Molly and Issa just continue to grow apart by not just having an honest conversation about what they're feeling and what they're going through. So we'll see what happens next episode. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, like, comment below. Let me know what you guys think. And thank you for joining me. Talk soon. Bye.